What an absolute privilege it is to be standing here in front of you today. Rion and I go a little way back. Our companies kind of work together. I'm from a company called Pilot Insure, and Pilot Insure and Vektor have been helping clients solve different problems alongside each other for a little while now. For the few of you that don't know me, my name is David Roux. I'm an aviation industry professional and have been so for the last, wait for it, 17 years. This venue is truly amazing. I haven't actually been into the Absolute Lounge before, so thank you very much for hosting us, Absolute, and your team. Lanseria, you're putting on a good show, well done. What is this event, actually? But this is an intersection of Vektor Aviation, local underwriters, the London market, which we're absolutely privileged to have out here. So thank you guys for coming out. We've got loss adjusters, and most importantly, we have a bunch of clients out here, which is absolutely amazing. So this is a really, really good place for everyone to meet, connect, put a name to the face and a face to the voice on the other side of the phone, that it's not just a dull email. You can actually now talk to your broker, talk to your underwriter. Our first speaker of the day is Ronald King from PSG. Sorry, not just Ronald King, it's Advocate Ronald King. After Mike, we'll be hearing from Graham Wells. Graham flew all the way in from Mauritius to join us today. Graham Wells, obviously, of Air Tractor. So Graham's going to give us a couple of insights about the agricultural aviation industry. And then we will be hearing from none other than Attie Nieman of 43 Air School, and then followed by Scott Smith.
Being responsible for products and training within PSG, making sure that everything in PSG is of top quality. But about 10 years ago, we realized that we needed to be masters of our own destiny. And therefore, we started getting involved with discussions, negotiations with government. So basically, I'm what they call in the US lobbyist. And my talk today is based on the knowledge that I've picked up with negotiations with government. And then, of course, as he also said, I am a futurist. I've got a master's in future studies. So trying to give you an idea of what is going on in this country. I'm going to talk a little bit about South Africa. Then I'm going to talk about, is it worth our while to emigrate? And then, well, is there a future? Our future is not determined by our environment, but our future is mostly determined by decisions we make. Our actions as well as our inactions. Not taking out that insurance from Vektor Insurance will have a much bigger impact on your future than what President Cyril Ramaphosa decides tomorrow when he's got a cabinet meeting. That is what you need to realize. You hold your future in your hand. Whatever action you perform in your life, there is a consequence to that. And the same for each and every inaction. If we look at the possible future scenarios for South Africa, to my mind, we need to strengthen social values, because if we don't start to strengthen social values in this country, then we are going to have problems. Then we're going to go for everyone for themselves and the devil for the rest. PSG and Vektor has been around since 1998. We can truly assist you in everything that you need from us. In a country like South Africa, you're going to have much more opportunities than you'll ever have in your life. The only thing that you need to do is ensure that your risks are managed through Vektor Aviation.
Absolute is now 23 years old. It's been quite a busy 20 years since Neil started the business with Howard Aviation in aircraft management and maintenance management particularly. I like to think 2011 when Neil secured the Beechcraft, Hawker Beechcraft agency, and I think later in 2015 we secured the Comair business through Textron. And I think those two acquisitions sort of set the ground rule for aviation, for Absolute Aviation, has been able to be the basis for springboarding where we are now, and enabled the company to grow with those brands behind us. We've bought businesses around in Southern Africa, and latest being a company in Namibia, and we see that as a huge opportunity for us to be able to springboard from Namibia up into Angola and the region around that. For us, looking, and I'll go into the locations later, that 2023 and 2024 have been really busy years for us, with the announcement of our Aviation stuff through Pipistrel with the Textron Aviation. And that has been an exciting thing. I know Attie's done a lot of work on that previous to us, and we've taken that, and we really enjoyed the relationship that we've had with them. Also, 2023 is a busy year. We were the only African company that's been made IATA, which is an aircraft resellers, international reseller stuff out of America. So we're the first company on the African continent to be IATA accredited. And we also recently concluded a deal with Adv to be their partners in Africa. The group composition is broken up into 4 different entities. The first entity we have is aircraft sales, where we represent Beechcraft, Cessna, and Pipistrel. We have 11 different countries in Africa where we represent those products. We then have the next entity, which is the service center under Jevolt and Divan. And you can see we have an authorized service center for all the Textron products. We also represent numerous African countries on our accredited by numerous African countries, so we're able to maintain a lot of aircraft from Africa and islands in our operations here in Lanseria. Third silo is parts, so we have a massive parts organization run by Charlene and Clarke, like homing and continental engines, and a lot of the aftermarket value-added products like Blackhawk, BLR, Razorback, and thrusters. The parts center is growing exponentially, and it's really an integral part of our business. The fourth entity is Absolute Flight Services, is where you see us here today. We run the fixed base operations, which are here in Johannesburg and Cape Town. They're also responsible for all the aircraft management and for all the charter flying that we do. It's all run through Flight Services and Hansel and his team. We also run an away from base operation in Togo, which is West Africa, where we run for a company there. So we also run an international operation with Absolute Flight Services. So you can see that we sort of have a finger in a lot of pies, and with the big brands behind us, it's conducive for us to be able to take this business to the next level. We currently have bases in Cape Town, Johannesburg. We have a large aircraft maintenance organization in Botswana, in Mau, and we run an aircraft operations and maintenance facility up in Low. What I have done, we've also got a parts center at Pretoria, at Warnerburg. We have potential in Kenya at the moment, and we're also being a little bit preemptive. And we've been approached to be taking up some business premises in both Lilongwe and Harare. Those are still out there at the moment, but as you can see, that's where our expansion is going. So in terms of Roland's speech earlier, you can see we're definitely Afrocentric, and we're definitely very positive about this region of where we're going. I was asked to have a quick look at the absolute market overview on where the trends are going for aviation or aircraft sales in the region. Okay, in the past 6 months, the availability of global light turboprops, such as the King Air90s and the TBM 960, has increased and peaked in December 2023. This surge led to a drop in the average prices from 1.8 million to 1.7 million US dollars in September. The medium turboprops like the King Air 200 and the PC-12s also saw increased availability, with prices reaching about 2.6 million in January 2024. However, prices for global light jets like the Citation 500 and IC-2s have dropped slightly to $3 million in February 2024. Despite a temporary increase in availability in December 23, global medium jets availability reached its peak in December 2023, but prices have been declining since October, indicating a potential shift in customer preference towards models like Sovereigns and Latitudes. Just to give you an idea, there's not one Sovereign Plus available in the market at the moment. That's where the demand is coming for this aeroplane. Okay, the helicopter market, the global single-engine helicopter availability has fluctuated, hitting a low in October and peaking in January 2024 at 417 units. The average asking price peaked 1.5 million US dollars in December. Twin-engine helicopter availability peaked in December 2023 at prices stabilizing around 2.3 million US dollars by February, leading to a decrease in resale transactions. So I think what we're seeing now in the market as an OEM supplier is that we're seeing with the delays taken in ordering new aircraft and deliveries of new aircraft, is that if you order new aircraft now, we're looking at 25, end of Q4 25, Q1 26 deliveries, is that you're seeing the pre-owned market is still very, very firm. Obviously, I'll just show you now in December this drop, but that corrects itself very, very quickly. So there are certain models of aircraft that we can't get hold of. I mentioned caravans, the sovereigns, light jets are very, very difficult to come by. So the pre-owned market is still very, very strong in those. And having chatted to many of the OEMs over the last couple of months, is that they still see that trend of new aircraft continuing for the delays in delivery, which I think is still going to keep this the pre-owned market very, very much very buoyant. So it's quite a difficult place to be in trying to resell aircraft between buyers and sellers of sometimes unreal expectations on sellers and sometimes unreal expectations on buyers because everybody wants a bargain.
So I thought I'd just try and position a short presentation just with insurance in mind, but also just giving some feedback and some updates as to where we are in time and space with the company. We've got our group office, which has now been moved to Mauritius, and we essentially are doing all our head office expenses and overhead structure out of Mauritius. That then leads to the dealership company which sits underneath that, and as David alluded to in the intro, we cover the whole of Africa as our territory for air tractor. We've had the dealership since 2011. In the early days it was sort of low-hanging fruit, single-digit numbers, but we've seen over the past few years a lot of effort that's gone into growing the business and the structure and how that's started to translate into more sales, which has led on to additional silos and businesses that have started. So in addition to the two in Mauritius, we've got in South Africa a flight academy, we've also got a maintenance company, and we've created an asset holding company. There are a few additional subsidiary companies that we've got. We've got a marketing agent, we've got an AOC. Our main areas, as discussed previously and on that slide, originally in agriculture. Our second and growing the fastest at the moment is in firefighting. One of our largest customers that we have in South Africa is a company called Excalibur. They use the aircraft for geological survey work, and then a whole wide range of applications on vector control. So that would be malaria, tsetse fly, queller bird, armyworm, desert locust, and so on. Again, just some pats on our back. Not only did we do the sales like we used to do in the yellow metal spares, but going up and down the value chain within the company and staying laser focused with regards to what we can offer our customers. So 2-3 years ago, we created our own ATO. We are certified by the South African Civil Aviation. Last year, we got an approval by the Air Tractor Factory to be the only certified flight academy in Africa. And we just started training guys. So we're training pilots, we're training engineers, and continuing to do so on a daily and weekly basis. Civil aviation approvals, obviously the first one was from South Africa, but we've had Kenya, Djibouti, the Ivory Coast, our Air Tractor one, the Ethiopian government, and we're currently involved in a big transaction in Algeria, which will be another one. So we cover all 52 countries in Africa. It's quite a task to get all of those. There's 52 regulatory bodies. They all want to come and do their 5-phase process and checkings. We've also, a couple of years ago, started a joint venture with Flight Safety. We ran our first course in January of 2023. The idea would be that we become the dedicated flight academy center, flight safety center, should I say, for all PT6 small and large engines in Southern Africa. There's only one other facility that's in Nairobi, but we took on and had a relationship. We started a relationship last year, and it's really growing from strength to strength.
Managing the risk at military air school, a relatively unknown air school, actually in South Africa. We are more known internationally than we are known in South Africa. I think it's because of our location. Less than 20% of the students that we have, about 350 at any given time, living on our campus at our school are international students. We have broken into big international markets. We fly for some of the most prestigious airlines In Asia, we are the preferred supplier for Indigo, the largest airline in India and soon to be in the world. Don't know if you guys seen, they've ordered 500 aircraft in a recent acquisition. Air India, we're training their pilots at the moment up in Johannesburg in the old Combat Training Center through PTC Aviation, the other company. And I just want to explain that quickly. PTC Aviation is our airline training specialist division. We branded it separately for the very reason that other ETOs also use that facility or that expertise we've built there. One of my partners in PTC is a guy called Wayne Westerby. Wayne is airline training captain, very passionate about airline training, also an ex-SAF guy. We put our heads together. We actually started here at NAC shortly after NAC bought 43 Air School, which was an acquisition I did back for them in 2002 to do advanced training. The idea behind it was to bring airline standard training down to these 1900 operators. Just shortly about the history of 43 Air School, I'm very passionate about the history of the school. Built in 1940. Believe it or not, in 1901, Port Alfred, where we're situated in the Eastern Cape, had a railway line that you could climb on a train in Port Alfred and go to Johannesburg. Couldn't do it 120 years later, but anyway. Joint Air Forces of the world in those days, of the Commonwealth countries, were chosen to train up cannon fodder for the Second World War. And that's how 43 Air School started. In 1940, a big school, train lines coming in there. There was over 3,000 pilots, bombardiers and navigators trained there for the war effort. The Oxford aircraft was used there and flying there. I've actually got a wonderful little museum in our entertainment center where we've got one of those turrets on display which I found in the township. Over the years, it became derelict after the war. Most of the hangars that was at 43 are now some of the pineapple farmers' farms. And in 1988, the guy is also a legend in aviation, Jim Davis, walked in there, bought the ground and started 43 Air School, the private school as it is today. And we bought that in 2002, a couple of years later. At that stage, they were doing 1,000 hours a year. And we then expanded the school to do advanced training in the General Aviation Center. These aircraft you see around us, just across the ramp. However, during COVID, we decided to exit that business model. The CAA was adamant that full flight simulation has to be done on each and every type, which we didn't see as a business model for us. Imagine how many full flight sims you would have to have for all the King models that are around. It's just not feasible. We, during COVID, was the busiest airfield in Africa. We normally number 2 or 3, 7,500 movements a month, and we have flown in excess of 3,500 hours a month at the school. 250 hours a day, which means that with the 50 aircraft we've got to do 5 slots a day. That's a lot of activity. We've got our own tower, own AFIS training. We also use our ATC training simulator, only one in the country other than ATNS, to train up our foreign students into aviation English. We've got a contract, Vietnam Airlines, the national airline of Vietnam. We train their pilots, about 80 to 100 a year, and they arrive at 43 Air School and that basic English is very bad because they're not English speaking as a first language or even at school. It's only been introduced very late in some of these students' careers, and we are able to fly those guys 4 months later into our general flying area. Just the last thing about 43 Air School, we have, as mentioned, not only the largest school, but I believe, bigger is not best, but best is best. We decided to change our model. We looked at our business model and we said, we want to specialize in airline training, in other words, training cadet pilots from zero, and to deliver them right seat qualified. A320, 737, which is 85% of the leading airliner that you will fly. And since 2014, we've had the ability to do Boeing 737, and currently we've added the A320 as well about 4 or 5 years ago. So we decided to look at our business model and we decided to go the airline route. If you look at our offering today on our website, by the way, for those of you interested, want to see more about 43 Years School, there's a full virtual tour that you can do on our website. So if you're a student from overseas or sitting in Johannesburg, you want to see 43 Years School, it's a fascinating walk through that facility. We are completely independent. Other than a prop shop, we have everything. We have instruments, engine overhaul. I believe the best maintained pipers in the world. Those aircraft are not classic now, they're going vintage. Older than me, some of them. And they are the best maintained pipers that you will see in your lifetime. Come and have a look and come and visit us. The offering at the moment is that we do a program called the Integrated ATPL. So we're the only school in South Africa, and we have been for 7 years, accredited to do it. So you can take a student, select him, and deliver him type rated. We have gone beyond it now. We've got online offering as well. So you can do EASA at 43 Air School, you can do your academics, and soon you'll be able to do your flying. We'll announce that in a month or two. So, and we are now working on FIA. We want to be able to offer all three offerings in terms of your license, because we believe when you make the investment for the kids today, you want to be able to work anywhere in the world. So you might as well spend the extra 10% on your offering and have an FIA or EASA license as well. You've done the work.
It's been 3 years since I've gone to the UK, and the journey from a client-facing insurance broker to a London broker has been a fascinating experience. I'm fortunate now to be able to place business globally and understand the issues that our South African brokers deal with and our international brokers deal with. And they're all very similar. And what this does is it gives us an understanding of the market and where the market is. So the last 3 years have been fantastic. And in that 3 years, the market has changed relatively dramatically and quite fast. So general aviation, as defined by the International Civil Aviation Organization, is all aviation except for commercial air transport. So basically sports flying, business travel, charter, agricultural work, conservation work, bush flying, everything that we do. Insurance companies, syndicates and brokers will generally have general aviation, airline, products and space. Three separate divisions that concentrate on those areas, but it all filters up into one department. So when we speak about general aviation, it does have its own place in the market. Over the last few years, with less losses due to COVID and less aircraft flying, with higher rates from the hardening market, general aviation has been seen to be a profitable sector of aviation. And as a result, we've seen an increase in risk appetite from existing insurers who are prepared to deploy bigger lines on new business and their renewals. Over and above this, we've seen a growth or regrowth of MGAs. MGAs, or managing general agents, have added significant capacity to the general aviation sector, and thus creating more competition and pushing the rates and the prices down. So in short, and this is why we all came, we're starting to see better rates on renewals and new business for clients. It's always difficult to predict outcomes for each individual buyer. Outcomes can be driven by many factors, including geographical limits, claims, operations, pilots. But it's definitely apparent that there's a growing appetite for insurers to participate in the general aviation sector. And this can only be good news for buyers going ahead. So 2024 looks positive, rates look like they're decreasing, it looks like there's a lot more capacity, which is great. Having said that, it's important to remember insurance proves itself in the event of a claim. And one doesn't want to have a rejected claim. A large percentage of our clients come to us from badly placed insurance, non-rated insurers. It's worth looking at who your insurance company is, the ability to pay claims, as well as the history of the broker. The strength of the insurance company and longevity of the company is important. You want to make sure that in the event of a claim, both your insurance company and your broker are still in business. These are the questions that we need to ask when we're placing our insurance. Claims are a very important part of aviation. And aviation claims They're complex claims. There's a lot of information involved in them. There's a lot of working parts in the chain, from the assessors to the reports to the guys who they're waiting for the repair costs, or the underwriters have to look at it. There's a lot of underwriters. There's rules we have to look at. Claims do take time, but they take time because we're understanding what they are, what we're doing with them, and we have the right outcome. There's no point having a claim with an outcome straight away and then retroactively trying to understand what went wrong. So they do take time, and I understand it's a very frustrating part of aviation, but it's taking time because we have claims departments. So you want to know that your insurance company has a claims department that can deal with your claims, that can actually make sure that everything is, all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted, so that once the claim is done, it's finished and paid.